Hello, hello. It's so good to be back. Happy summer. I have a very special guest for you guys. My friend Alissa, who is another coach with me inside Business by Design, is going to be here with us on the Messy Success podcast today. And you guys are going to love this episode because we just jump right into her story and how she almost wanted to close her business and her background in environmental sustainability. And Alissa has just had this really cool journey, and I love her perspective. And her and I are constantly nerding out over language and decision making and all things like coaching, our signature programs. I've just really enjoyed her friendship as we have both grown so much as coaches in the industry in the past year. So, let me tell you a little bit about Alissa. She is an online leadership and performance coach who helps online coaches, experts, and healers double their revenue from client retention by becoming killer coaches who lead with heart and soul and give the best client results. And as I mentioned, she is also a Business by Design coach for James Wedmore, and she has helped Fortune 500 companies drive their sustainable business strategies forward. You are going to love her story. She's a serial traveler. She's been to 30 plus countries and counting. She's a digital nomad. So her and her partner literally work as they travel. They get like the coolest situations and places to stay. It's been so fun hearing about that. And you can find her nerding out on healing modalities and watching friends and spending quality time with her family in her hometown, Manhattan Beach, California. So let's bring on Alissa. Welcome back to the Messy Success Podcast. I'm your host, Elizabeth Henson. This podcast is your space, your corner of the world to be messy, creative, and ambitious as you want to be. I'm incredibly passionate about helping people do what they love and make a living doing it. We all know that is a messy process, but the messy imperfection, the messy success is what makes it all so beautiful. I'm here to help you build community around your brand so that marketing is easy. There's no such thing as a self-made millionaire, in my opinion. We're all in this together. We shine the light on others, focus on leadership. And our theme here for 2024 is the 1% adventure, where we're getting 1% better every single day. So what do you say we get started? Well, hello, Alissa. I am so freaking excited to have you here. I feel like we've talked about doing this forever, and finally it's here. So what I want you to do first is tell everyone who you are and what you do in the more like everyday form, because I read your fancy bio.
Cool. So, hello, everybody. My name's Alissa. So, I work with online coaches and healers and experts to become the most kick ass coaches that they can be so that they can double their revenue through retaining clients who are obsessed with working with them because of the transformations that they get.
Oh my gosh, I love it. And so specifically with coaches, lots of different kinds of coaches. Tell us a little bit about how did you land with that? Like, I know that you've been in this coaching realm. That's how we know each other. But
Yeah.
how did you land on working with coaches specifically?
So, I think So when I think of online coaching and just kind of the industry that is here now today, I wasn't really exposed to that until the last few years, and my coaching journey started like offline IRL in the real world. But I think what is so the expertise that I have of helping people get their clients better results, it really can apply to almost anything, right? I've
Mm,
worked with people who aren't even in the coaching space. For example, someone in my program is a brand photographer, and like people who aren't traditionally coaches who are now kind of getting into that space. But if you really break it down, it's just people wanting to be of service to other people and create impact for other people. And that is something that has been on my heart and just part of like who I am at my core for a very, very long time. Truthfully, even before I knew that coaching was a thing, which sounds kind of funny to
Yeah.
say. Like I only knew coaching in the sense of like executive coaching, like, you know, Fortune 500s and whatnot. So before I even knew that was a thing, the track that I was on for creating impact in the world was environmental sustainability and
Mm.
shifting people's beliefs and perspectives around like consumption and waste and all of that. And I ended up joining a leadership program for 2.5 years to learn communication and influencing skills to be able to make an impact in that realm. And that was how I was first introduced to coaching. And I was
Oh
like,
my gosh,
wait a
so
second,
interesting.
wait a
Yeah,
second,
and I don't know if
this
I
is
knew that about
awesome.
you. So, were you like at a
Yeah.
real 9 to 5 doing this environmental work? Not really environmental work, but coaching around it?
So I'll give you the tea. So here's the tea. So I had a 9 to 5 that was not related to any of this. It was in
Mm,
journalism and publishing. So I was
that's
an
right.
editor. Yeah, so I was an editor at a news syndicate and publishing company, and I had always kind of been passionate about environmental stuff. I grew up in LA, so it's very like centric to the culture there, and was doing volunteer work and all of that. And then more and more as I started getting involved in this kind of in my extracurricular time, I just realized, wait a second, I love doing this. Why don't I create a career around this? And this was 2016, 2017. So, you know, the sustainability world in terms of business and careers was still very much unfolding. And there were 20 different avenues that you can go in every single industry and every single like subsector of industry. So I started to really take on my kind of cut my entrepreneurial teeth outside of my 9 to 5 and started creating community projects to like water conservation projects and sustainable fashion projects in my local community. And I really just took to this and I'm like, okay, I'm going to basically build a whole second career for myself and create more experience that allows me to pivot into this realm. And I think what is probably unique about somebody at 24 or 25 at my time was like, I'm going to spend all my extracurricular time learning how to be a leader. So that's when I joined this program. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, so fun. I love hearing how people kind of like hop and figure their way out into exactly what they want to do. So, when you joined Business by Design, which is how we met, what was the business model that you had in mind to use like that program for?
So I knew, so this was 2022 that I joined
Yeah.
BBD. And coming out of that leadership program, which I completed in 2021, the in our kind of completion ceremony, we were talking about what our visions were for the future. And this is also, I love sharing about this because it just gives me goosebumps. It gives me goosebumps every time I talk about it. So this was like February of 2022. And I was declaring basically to all my classmates, I said I was still working my 9 to 5 at the time, still hadn't gotten the opportunity in sustainability, but I knew from going through COVID and being at home, working at home, and got a little taste of that lifestyle. I was like, oh, wait a second. 9 to 5 is not for me. I actually want to have my own business. So
Yeah.
I declared I'm going to start my own business and I'm going to create impact all over the world and I'm going to meet the love of my life and we are going to be digital nomads and we're going to travel around the world and we're going to build businesses that change the world. So and I was single at the time by the way. So that was February of 2022. And then once that came out, like the program completed, people from the program started coming to me and asking if they could pay me to coach them, which was like
Mm.
completely out of left field. So I started taking coaching clients. And then in May 2022, within 3 days of each other, I got an opportunity to consult for Fortune 500 companies to help with their sustainable business strategy, which was completely online. And then I also had coaching clients. And so I left my 9 to 5. And then within 3 days, I met Logan, my partner. And cut to a year later, I was like, oh, business by design. This is exactly what I need. This is exactly the framework. And so I joined BBD, and now we're Nomadic, and he's in the other room over there. Now we're doing our thing
Oh
in
my gosh.
Nashville.
Uh, so cool. So like you spoke it and then it all happened.
Yes. And there was a lot of, a shit ton of action that went into that as
Yeah,
well.
like it's so funny because it's like that's what it feels like. Sometimes you're like, wait, I declared this and then it happened, but it didn't feel that smooth.
No, 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 no. No, it
Yeah.
didn't. But at the same time, I think what I just kept coming back to, because again, I didn't have a plan to start a coaching business. I didn't even know that the online coaching space was a thing. I think I had like 700 Instagram followers with families, and like my OG Instagram that I started in college. And,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I hadn't posted even online in a year, didn't know what marketing or messaging was or any of that. So it just happened very organically. And I think not, I think I really just allowed myself to keep going with where my heart was pulling me, and the things that I just naturally was obsessed with, which were, sustainability and coaching and helping people.
Yeah. So do you still incorporate sustainability into the work that you're doing today?
Not in the coaching, but I still do consult for those Fortune 500 companies. So we do retreats for senior executives throughout the year, and really amazing things. So the dream of having the global impact in that realm did come true, and it's not something I really talk about on my Instagram, but I should more because
Yeah.
it does light me up. Yeah,
Yeah, and I think they're how cool to not that you need to niche down further, but I think these elements that create our personal brand, right? Like
yeah,
sustainability is one of those things that you're like you're either really passionate and kind of loud about it or maybe you quietly like do a few things here and there or like you're kind of just clueless, right? But I think
yeah,
when you're in that like passionate bucket, like those people can kind of rally together, right? And
for sure.
someone might be more likely to hire you because you're like so far in that direction and like, oh, not only can she help me with my business coaching, but we're also on the same page with this like pretty intense core value.
For sure. And, something that I should say, the thread that I do see, specifically with coaching and sustainability, and the lens that I take for sustainability, because there's a lot of approaches. There's the very like extremist, ultra vegan, like don't drive a car, kind of extremist that way. And then there's the whole other way, which I've been exposed to working with Fortune 500 companies, which is it seems like a bunch of greenwashing. And then you understand, oh, actually, it's just really hard to move billions and billions and billions of units of company materials and whatnot. But the lens that I've always taken is behavior shifting and perspective shifting. So, like, if you can tie making sustainable shifts and have people see, oh, this is actually going to get me a better quality of life. It's going to save me money.
Mhm.
It's going to make me healthier. It's going to make me feel better. It's going to be better for my kids. Like, if you can make that connection and also connect the dots between the small decisions that they're making on a daily basis and the ripple effect that actually happens in the world over time, when you can do that, it's a lot simpler to shift people's behaviors. It becomes a no-brainer. And that's essentially what you're doing with coaching, is creating a new
Yeah.
possibility for them to see of, oh, this other way of looking at things, this other way of doing things is actually in my best interest. And so let me go do that. So that is the thread that I do see.
Oh my gosh, I love that so much because that's you're right. That's what coaching is like showing people what's possible and letting them see, and it can be like so simple as like when you're like, oh, just speak positive, right? And someone that doesn't have like the training that we have to make it way more granular than just think positive, but like what is the harm? Like when someone realizes like what's really the harm and just choosing more positive thoughts,
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
it's so crazy. You can open up their whole world by just understanding like nothing bad is going to happen if you just choose a different thought.
for sure. And not only that, but how simple it actually can be. because
Yeah.
we make things so overcomplicated as human beings. So like, what's an example? Like I don't know, a launch. If we were talking to someone in BBD, like a launch strategy, and they're like, "Oh, the launching and this and that," it's like, okay, let's break it down.
Yeah.
You have this component, you have this component, you have this component. What what's the which option is going to get you closer to your goal? Like breaking it down into very, very bite-sized, tangible pieces and just presenting options, and the choice becomes so much easier when you can break it down like that. And I think you're hitting on something really powerful, which is like the nuance of like good coaching and great coaching, which is saying
Mm.
like just think positive, just trust yourself, just be confident. That's not actually tangible for people. It's not anything to grab onto versus
Yes.
okay, let's actually get you enrolled in being confident and what that could practically look like in your daily life.
Yes. Or like getting someone to talk about how will they know when they're confident so that we can reverse engineer how to
Yeah.
get there versus like I used to just be the cheerleader, right? Before I had any of this
Ooh,
training, I was like, "Oh, you got this. You can do it. Like I'm here for you." And I was just cheerleader, 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 because I just cared so deeply, but I didn't have the tools to like actually hold that mirror up for people and get them to change their perspective and their beliefs on their own. It's so much more powerful.
for sure. For sure. Something, oh my gosh, did I just lose my train of thought? I didn't want to interrupt you, but something you said, being the cheerleader. Yeah.
Yes.
So being the cheerleader is so interesting. And I've actually had this hook idea that you're now reminding me of a post that's like, just because you care a lot and care the most about your client than any coach ever will about any client doesn't mean you're actually an effective coach.
Yes. Yes.
Because when people say, like, just you got this, it's like, that's what your mom says to you. You know what I mean? Like, that's what mom says to their kids, but it's not, it hits different when someone's actually taking a stand for you and is like, listen,
Yes.
think about your why, remember why you're doing this, like what is life going to look like on the other side of this, what is actually possible for you, like get present to that and let's fucking go, pardon my French.
Yeah.
So that it
Yeah.
hits different, but I think, and some clients have come to me recently saying like, I've been working with other coaches but they just tell me what to do or they're cheerleading and I still don't feel like my ideas are coming from me. I don't feel confident even though they're saying these things because it doesn't actually penetrate like internally. It's not
Yeah.
coming from them.
Yeah. They're not shifting their thoughts to shift their beliefs and then
Yeah.
actually embodying it. Like we can all say, "Oh, I'm going to be more confident today. I'm so great. Like I manifest money." We can all say the things, but if we don't actually like embody the feeling, it doesn't change. And I think that's what great coaches can do is they can help you learn to embody the new belief that actually gets the different result. It's so fast. I mean, you and I could geek out over this stuff all day.
I know, forever.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And I think too that huge shift because I did used to be such a freaking cheerleader is like learning that it's not my job to be their friend. Like, and
Ooh.
if I make them mad or I trigger them, that means I'm that much closer to a breakthrough for them. And if that means that I have to sacrifice how much they like me,
Mhm.
then that's what they're paying me for. They're not paying me to be their friend.
Yeah, I'm thinking of that one coaching call that you and I led together
Mm,
um in BBD last summer in particular. Like when you put the other person, like your client's breakthroughs ahead of your comfortability,
yes.
then so much more becomes possible when you get over. And that's why I think this whole coaching thing is a really delicate dance because at the end of the day you are still human too, so you have to be really mindful of, do I have a need to be liked? Do I have a need to be careful and nice because of, my relationship with family member and always having to walk around eggshells in my house? Like that stuff will come with you into your coaching if you're not mindful.
Yeah, yeah. I love that. And one of my favorite like areas that I saw growth or my favorite areas to explore in this is like when people want to leave a program. So they
Mhm.
make a commitment to work with you, and then they 6 months later like want to cancel or backpedal or whatever it might be. And that's like this, oh, they don't like me, or there's
Yeah.
this,
I
oh my God, the
suck.
money. Yeah, I suck. The money, we make it mean so many different things. And then we're like, okay, do I want to enforce my contract? Do I want to just let them go without a fight? But what changed in me is, and I actually wrote templates for this exact scenario for some of the people that I was consulting with, is like, let's take them back to why they joined in the first place, right? So I
Yep.
talk to these people and I'm like, it doesn't matter to me whether you stay in my program or not. That makes no difference to me in my life and the work that I'm doing in the world. However, you joined for a reason, and let's go back to that reason and let's talk about what has changed between now and then. And if
Yep.
leaving is the right thing for you, then I have no problem with that. But we're not just going to abort mission because it got hard or because you didn't show up for it or whatever it might be. If that dream and that vision is still there, that's my job as your coach, to hold space for why you joined in the first place. And that was like this huge shift for me of like letting go of this need to be liked. And it's because I was doing it for other people. I was able to like, oh, this isn't about me. This is about this person's program. So boom, 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 I got this. And I was like, wait, why can't I do that for myself? And it was like, I was able to shift so much easier putting myself outside of myself.
So, I love this. So and let me guess, when you do that, when you approach the conversation that way, 9 times out of 10, they stay.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Because you made it, you come from a place of what's in their best interest and them having a breakthrough around how they're showing up and their commitment to themselves. It's not about your
Yeah.
program. It's you
Right.
coming from the lens of, again, like their best interest and their growth. And that
Yes.
is like the most, from a marketing perspective, that's like the most lethally detached place that you could ever come from.
Yeah.
That I feel like I would say great marketers don't make great coaches, and great coaches don't make great marketers in general.
Yeah.
However, I'm leading a bonus training for Coaching Craft Academy in a couple hours, and it's on how to increase your sales conversions by approaching sales conversations from a coaching perspective and increase
Mm,
like infusing coaching tools into the conversation. And it's the same thing because when someone has an objection about joining your program, when you make it about you, like, oh my God, they don't like me, oh, they don't this that, you've
we're going to have so
just,
much fun.
yeah, versus
Yeah.
like, okay, let me support them in shifting their perspective so that they're making this decision from a place of possibility rather than a place of fear.
Yes. Or
So whether
circumstance.
they
Yeah.
or circumstance, so whether they join my program or not, I'm going to come from the place of them having this conversation be like a breakthrough for them of seeing what they're made of and making a choice from that, like, from that leadership place, if you will. And that is
Yeah.
like, I think that's not, I think, I know that having that skill set before I learned how to quote unquote officially market things has been a game changer for my business. And I, most of the time when I have sales conversations, they do join the program because I approach it from that perspective.
Yeah. And then if you think about the ripple effect of just the coaching, every little decision that you're helping them make is in the same way.
Mhm.
It's the exact same process of what do we see as possible, and like how do
Yeah.
you get there, versus like, oh, here's what I did, you should try that, right? Like the advice giving is,
Yeah.
there's such a confusion in the coaching space around people calling them coaches when really they're just advisors on like what they did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah. I
my
know.
God. Don't even get me started. Yeah.
I know, but it's like,
I
there's
don't,
the difference. Like, for people listening, like, there's the difference, right? Like, listen, when you're on the other side, listen for the things that people are saying to you. Are they giving you advice, or are they asking you questions to like unlock that possibility that's already there? And I'll tell people if I'm
yeah.
going into the advice realm, I'll say like, okay, like this is coming up for me to just share this with you. Just take it or leave it, Like, I think
Yeah.
when you start to really embody the differences, you can like let someone know this is coming from a place of advice. Please take it as such, not as coaching.
Right. So like just to break it down one step further, if you are a coach listening right now and you're like, okay, I want to get my clients better results. I want to be more effective at coaching so that my clients are empowered to make their own decisions and actually like own their truth, own their voice, their own what they want to do as opposed to feeling like they need to come to you all the time.
Mm.
Um, is like where you could normally approach a conversation of from place of like what's an example? Go to the launch example again. Like, which launch strategy should I use for my next launch? That's a classic one that we get
Mm-hmm.
all the time.
Yeah. Should I do a webinar? Should
So
I do a challenge?
should I
Should I
do
do what? Yeah.
yeah, should I do this? Should I do this? What are other people doing? What's everybody else do? What have you had success doing? When you answer the question exactly as they asked it, like, I've done a webinar launch in the past and I have a similar product as you and it worked really well for me. You're already cheating them from a breakthrough because you you imposed your experience on them, didn't rather than actually helping them come to a place of clarity and confidence by making the decision themselves. And what
Mm.
worked for you isn't going to work for them necessarily. So they have to figure out their own path anyway. So if you
Yeah.
were approaching it from a mentorship or advice giving perspective, that would be a typical response. But you can easily hold off on that and just flip it and be like, think to myself, okay, well, I did a webinar launch, and the reason why that worked for me was because I could plan all of the launch assets ahead of time. And I'm a busy mom, so that worked really well for me. So if you see that this person is also a busy mom, you can flip that into a question and say, hey, I'm a busy mom too. Which launch strategy do you think would allow you to prepare in a way that is aligned with the amount of time you have in your week?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Then they're like, oh, well, if I could prepare the things ahead of time, that would probably be helpful. So I think a webinar would be great. So you
Yeah.
get them to the same conclusion, but they are getting there themselves. And
Which
so,
is going to increase their confidence level because they were on that journey versus just like grab and go the information.
yeah, they're like, oh, I had the answer. I came up with my own answer. And how much more confident do we feel when we figure things out for ourselves?
Yeah.
We're like, I had a problem. I figured it out. I got this. That is so much
Mhm.
more empowering and like energizing for people in how they're moving through their day towards their goals. And I feel like
Yeah.
what you touched on a few minutes ago is just to bring it like full circle. I feel like what's also in the best interest of people you're working with is not to just give them answers to help achieve the goal that's right in front of them that you're helping them do in your container. It's to, at least this is my perspective, it's to help them become the person who they really want to be, which is
Yeah.
they want to be more powerful, they want to be more confident, they want to be the person who can sustain their bigger goals. And so when you approach it from that lens, you're allowing them to develop the soft skills of introspection, decision making, awareness that are not just going to pay them back for that launch, like that webinar, but forever. And you can't,
Yes.
like, that's the meaningful, memorable stuff that just gets me going when
Yeah.
when we're talking about coaching. Yeah.
I know, and it just builds on itself. Like I feel like I'm having like my quantum leap year, and I was in a room the other day with some coaches and, some of us. And I was like, "You guys, I have this fear that like it's not real or that it's not going to stick, you know?" And
Yeah.
someone was like, "No, you never go back. Like once you learn these lessons and new ways of thinking, like your brain doesn't actually go back." Would you agree with that? Like, do you have clients that are like, "Oh my gosh, this is going so well," and then this fear pops up that it's not going to keep going well?
Well, yeah, and I do too, but I think I feel like there's a neural pathway aspect of this. We should ask James or somebody. I feel like this is true. Like, at least how it lands for me is when you see something, you can't unsee it.
Yes.
And when you experience something from within, it sticks. If someone
Mhm.
says it to you, it doesn't stick. But if it comes from within, it sticks. And you have, it's like a new muscle almost that you're like,
Mm,
oh, I didn't know that that was there. But now that you know it's there, you can play with it and you can flex it. Like something that I'm really, because it's an embodied experience. When it's within you, it's literally an embodied experience.
yeah.
And so, um, like something I'm playing with right now for myself is the muscle of just deciding, the
Mm,
muscle of deciding. And that was a pretty, just speaking vulnerably, that was a pretty elusive, like frustrating concept when other coaches and mentors would say that to me, like, just decide. I'm like, okay, great. How? Again, with
yes.
like the be confident, whatever. And no one could really like articulate it in that tangible way for me. But when I launched Coaching Craft Academy in March, my sole breakthrough that I wanted to have was, this is going to be my breakthrough in deciding that this launch is going to be kick ass. And what did, what did not deciding look like for me in the past? What are
Yeah.
the actual things that happened in my reality that were a representation of not deciding?
Oh
And
my
okay,
gosh.
great.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So let me do the opposite of that this time. And I actually got it. And now that I've played with that, and now that I've experimented with showing up that way, and what does that look like in terms of my thoughts, in terms of my actions, and the decisions that I'm making, now I know. I'm like, okay, I know what deciding is. So now I'm building that muscle and now I'm playing with it more and more. And that is probably the biggest gift that I could have given myself, is not just focusing on the launch numbers and all of that, because that's out of our control anyway.
Right.
But
Right.
the muscle and yeah,
And
I
you're
can't
aware
remember what it,
now. Like, and I know we always say
yeah,
like self-awareness, but like you probably didn't even fully understand the paralysis that the deciding was having, or the stalling, or whatever the outcomes were from you not deciding. You probably didn't even have the self-awareness for a long time, and then all of a sudden you're now made self-aware that deciding is the issue or the problem or the roadblock. So now you're experiencing life on the other side and you're able to look back and be like, oh my God, that makes so much sense.
for sure. And just to flip this around, like if I were a coach and I had a client who was like, "What the fuck is this deciding thing? Like, how do I how do I do
Yeah.
this?" What the the opportunity of having that conversation with them, it's like, "Yeah, we'll talk about your launch strategy. We'll talk about the dates. We'll talk about the goal. We'll talk about your lead gen, whatever. Yeah, that's a given. We'll talk about that. But let's talk about you exploring this like muscle of deciding. And that's something that I do with my clients and I'm teaching in Coaching Craft Academy, because when you can instill that in somebody else to where they're like, oh, I'm moving about my day, but it's not just your average Tuesday. I'm in the exploration of, am I taking the actions that are consistent with deciding? Oh, I had this thought and that was not deciding. And you can kind of wake people up to, like, wake
Mm-hmm.
your clients up to how they're moving about their daily life and the things, the specific things that happen in their day to day that get in the way of them in that energetic frequency. Like, that is so freaking powerful, because your clients figure it out themselves. You don't need
Yes.
to
Yes.
tell them what to do. You don't need to just say decide and then see what happens. Like, you can actually wake them up to who they're being in the day-to-day life, and they'll see their own behavior. And when they see their own behavior, they start to catch themselves and go, "Oh crap, I'm doing that not deciding thing again. Okay, let me switch. Let me mix it up." And that is just a gift that keeps on giving forever.
Oh my gosh, I love that. One of them that I just helped one of my clients with recently was she kept worrying about a problem that didn't exist yet. So it was
Uh-huh.
stalling her from making decisions constantly because she was like, well, but we're like, what if this? What if this? What if this? So I called her out on it, like, hey, you're worrying about something that doesn't actually exist yet. Like, let's just make a decision based on like the data and the evidence that we have right
The
now.
facts.
Yes,
Yeah.
the facts. And now I'm noticing that she'll come to me and she'll say, I'm doing that thing again where I'm worried about something that hasn't happened. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yes, that little piece of self-awareness. And I
Yeah.
also love what everything you said reminded me of something that I just experienced myself. And I went to a place of reflection to figure out what did I do differently. And this is so silly and so small, but like over the weekend, I finally kind of like cleaned and decluttered some areas of my house that I've been putting off for a really long time. And I
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. I mean, I was so proud of myself. My husband was laughing because I kept telling the kids, like, see how clean mommy's nightstand is? See how clean that
No,
is? Right.
I
And
genuinely mean that. It's like,
yes,
because
yes.
I'm
And
thinking
there
of
was
my
no
house.
reason why I was putting it off, but I was a little paralyzed. I was like, do I need therapy around like why I'm literally not cleaning certain parts of my house right now? And then, so when I finally did it and it felt so good and it was so easy, I was like, what did I do different? And
Mm,
I didn't use the word might. Like I kept, and people do this with working out all the time. Well, I might work out today. So it was always,
yeah.
I might clean this weekend. And this
Mhm.
one particular day, I said, we're going to the beach in the morning. I'm going to go home. I'm going to drink a Celsius and then I'm going to clean because Mark has cleaned his entire side of the bedroom. So now I really have to do it because my side looks even messier now. So I just decided with that 100% certainty rather than being like, well, I might be tired after the beach. Like I just eliminated might and turned it into will, but I
Ooh.
didn't even know I was doing it consciously. I had to look back and reflect and ask myself that question, what worked? Why was this time different? And I was able to spot it.
That's so powerful. Yeah, and I think you and I geek out specifically on language, you
Yeah.
know? So, like, the other thread of my whole career is language and words. Like, I was a book editor and, like, worked in journalism. I speak 3 languages. Like, I'm the language nerd, okay?
Yes.
And the language is so powerful and something so simple like language clues, like might, or I'm hoping for 20 people in my lunch. That's the word hoping is like ding, ding, ding. That's the clue. That's the clue that you're not all in. That's the clue that there's a hesitation. That's the clue that you're indecisive. Like that's the clue. And I feel like it's just so badass ninja finding those little words. It's like it's like when you have a thread and a sweater and you start to pull it and you're like, "Oh, there's the link. There it
Yep.
is."
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's like you gamify it. Like how many other places in my life can
Yeah.
I do better because of this awareness? Because I kept saying to myself, I've done it in my business, I've done it with my health. Now it's
Mhm.
time to do it for my house. Like what,
Yeah.
why am I dropping the ball? Why can I not keep my house clean? Like all these things, right? And when I finally had a moment of like action, I was like, what did I do differently? Like why was it so easy that one day?
Mhm.
Yeah. I love it.
So, was it simply the language that you were using that was, like, your energetic out, basically?
Well, I think when I was reflecting on it, it was the language, but the language was the commitment because when
Mhm.
we
Yeah.
say things like might or I'll see how I feel or if I have time, we're leaving that door open to not do it. Whereas
Yeah.
like this just there was no door open to not do it. Like I had made the commitment within myself, so might turn to will and I
Mhm.
did it. Right? So I wasted all that time with the mights and the maybes and the if I'm not tired and if I have time. And like, we want to give ourselves permission to rest, right? Like, I'm
For
not like
sure.
shaming myself for not doing it. But this particular day, like, I just committed and I did it. And I was like so proud of myself.
And then when you did it, it probably took, like, 10 minutes, and you're like,
Well, it took a
"Wow."
very I went down rabbit holes, so it took a long time, but I was able to say, "I can take 10 minutes and do one surface or one drawer."
Right.
Like, if you really wanna go in the decluttering process, like, I had fun and I did it for a couple hours because it was like one project was leading to the other, and it was so great, which is also a great outcome, right? But I was also taking mental notes of like, I could do just one of these a day and make a huge difference in the long term, you know?
Right. And at the end of the day, it's your, I feel like and this goes for anything that we're avoiding or resisting. It's like the thing itself is not a big deal at all,
Yes.
but it starts to become this like snowball effect of the feeling and the meaning around it that we're making. Not just that it's not clean, but oh my gosh, what's my problem? What's my issue that I can't clean this thing?
Yeah.
And that is, so it's like again the bigger breakthrough of you being committed to yourself and like just doing the damn thing. And like, yeah, the clean surfaces are awesome, but you doing the damn thing is like the bigger feeling of amazingness that comes with it.
Yeah, and I was like, there's nothing wrong with me. I was just like using this very weak, non-committed language to myself. Like that's really all it was.
For
Because I
sure.
mean, I was down the rabbit hole. I was like, am I depressed? Like, what, you know, what is going on? Like, how can I have all my stuff together and all these other buckets, and then my house is like an explosion, right? Like, what is going on, Liz? Oh my
Yeah,
gosh. So, and now I'm like, no, I'm actually fine. And I actually really enjoyed finally having a bookshelf to showcase my business books, you know, like, cause they were
there you
just,
go.
it was like compounding into all these things I was making it mean. I was like, but I need a home for my business books. Oh my gosh, I love it. I'm like, people listening are seeing the real crazy that we are. So before we wrap up, I know like we've already dove in. I'm like, we already need part two, but you put in
Yeah,
your notes that you've never shared this before and you would love to be asked around the story of how you almost quit your business last year. And I
yeah,
love that you put that in there because anytime I'm preparing someone to come on this podcast, I'm like, it's behind the scenes, it's vulnerable, it's unscripted. Like the more you can, you know, share with that open heart, the more it helps people. So when you put that on there, I was like, we need the tea. What
yeah.
happened last year?
Okay. Okay, so right around the time that you and I met, actually,
Mm,
and I can't remember if we actually said this in the beginning, but for context, Elizabeth and I are both coaches inside of Business by Design. And we met last year in April, I think it was March or April, where we were um, doing the coaches training with James. And behind the scenes, what nobody knew was that I just moved to Mexico, which was the first stop on our digital nomad adventure. And it was a super exciting time. But behind the scenes, what nobody saw was the fact that I was considering stopping entrepreneurship and coaching altogether.
mm,
And it was really kind of a point of reckoning for me. And there's a lot of things that went into that, but I really want to share this because think that it'll help. I think that it'll help a lot of people. So when I started coaching and started taking my first clients, again, I wasn't online at all. And once I joined BBD in 2022, I was like, okay, now I'm bringing everything online and started the whole adventure of marketing and messaging and content and all of those things. And it's freaking hard to learn all of those skills at one time: marketing,
mhm,
messaging, sales, content, da, 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 like all of these things. And from the very get go of bringing my business online, I started to fit myself into a mold of what I thought I should put out there, products I
mm,
should make, products that people would buy. And so I was helping people all along, but I was helping people in multiple niches that were very unaligned, like productivity. So it was stuff that I'm good at, but that I didn't have the fire for inside.
mm,
And that was kind of the first, which makes it really hard to show up and do all the things, and be obsessed with what you're doing when that spark is not there. So that was
yeah.
the first challenge, and I'd gone through like months and months of that experience, and I was helping people, but it wasn't giving me any sense of fulfillment, which was making it harder to show up, and that had an impact on my income. And the other piece that was really detrimental, which was 100% my responsibility, like didn't know what I didn't know, was that when I started getting into the online space, I really allowed myself to overconsume content from other people. And
Mm.
specifically, this kind of like, I don't know if I've ever said this out loud, but kind of like downright culty vibes of people in the online space who are like coaches, coaching coaches, coaching coaches, coaching coaches, and just this kind of like watered down messaging that you can see everybody using and people using the same emojis even, and it was just kind of very strange to me, and I got wrapped up in it though,
Mm.
thinking like, oh, this is what has to happen, this is what has to be done in order to be successful. And I got to a point in February when we were leaving for Mexico where I just felt like I don't even know. I don't have very many ideas for what I want to do next, genuinely. The ideas I do have, I don't know if they're actually mine or if they're just ideas that are coming to mind because of everything else that I've been consuming.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I want to be part of this industry because I'm getting the ick, and I don't, and by the way, I'm not seeing coaching in the way that I know coaching. I'm seeing
Mm-hmm.
coaching and advice giving and mentorship and people charging $25,000 for, advice giving that they say is coaching. That's another
Yes.
rabbit hole we won't go down. But
Yes.
I was
Another
just like,
episode.
another episode, but I was just like, I don't, and so I got to this point where we were in Mexico and there were days when I was like crying in bed and didn't know what to do. I didn't want to do anything. And I joined the coaches training with James because I thought, you know what I really love is coaching at the end of the day. I love serving people. So my decision at the time was, let me just immerse myself in the thing that I love without any external expectation. And in this point of reckoning, we were going through this coaches training, and I just allowed myself to fully, like, I gave myself permission to fully detach from any expectation that I had. I was like,
Mm.
maybe I only want to do sustainability. Maybe I don't want to do any of this. Maybe I want to be an underwater basket weaver. I don't know. Like, I don't know. So what allowed me to start to come out of this on the other side was, and practically what this looked like was I gave myself full permission to go offline for a month. I turned off all social media. I didn't consume any podcasts, books, um, nothing, magazines, nothing. I just kind of shut out all of those external inputs, and I gave myself full permission to explore what genuinely lights me up now.
Mm.
Not what I
Mm-hmm.
think I should be lit up by based off of all of my expertise and the things I'm good at, but like what actually lights me up now today. And I went through the coaches training and I slowly started to fall back in love with coaching. And I'm like, oh, damn, this is still here. It's still
Yeah.
here. This is just what I love. And we then were starting our journey as BBD coaches, and it just kind of relit the fire for me. And what I saw in that period of a month and a half was, when I think about the things that are most meaningful to me in terms of the way that I can serve, it's all of these tools that I have, these leadership tools, these communication tools, these coaching tools that have not only allowed me to help people in my business, but have truly transformed my life in every which way. The tools that I use with my clients, I use myself every single day. I
Mm-hmm.
use to have a better relationship with my partner. I've used them to create massive healing and transformation in my family, my finances, like every single area of my life. And the people that I've shared them with thus far have created magnificent things and have gotten to experience themselves and myself as a leader. And so I just said, you know what would make me the most happy is to give these tools away to as many people as possible. And so I had the idea for Coaching Craft Academy and back almost a year ago. And the fire was lit again. And so I started coming back online, taking content seriously, or so I thought. This is back to the deciding thing, taking content seriously and whatnot. And then in November, I launched Coaching Craft Academy, but I really did it half-assed because I wasn't fully convicted still of the fact that people would want this. Because I was paying attention to so for anyone listening right now, I was paying attention to the noise of the quote unquote industry, of what else was out there. And I wasn't fully owning my genius and my expertise and my voice. And the thing is, like, if you want to stand out online and be successful, standing out means doing things that other people aren't doing. It means being innovative. It means giving yourself permission to do something that isn't out there already.
Yeah.
And so looking back, I said, oh crap, that's why that launch wasn't successful. And so over winter and in the beginning of this year, I took a humble look at what did being pretend all in look like? What did pretend deciding look like? And made that decision. I'm all in. I'm deciding that I'm making thousands and thousands of dollars and I'm going to help people. And this program is going to be like the seed that grows to change the entire industry, period. End of story. No ifs, ands, or buts.
No mites.
And no mites, no maybes, no I hopes. And I backed that energetic decision up with taking a humble look at all of the things that would allow me to be successful. Okay, my content's okay, but it's not converting content. So I threw myself into programs that would allow me to get all those skill sets on point. I turned all of those skill sets around in a period of 3 weeks and then went on to sell 7 spots in Coaching Craft Academy. And today we're completing the bonus call for the first cohort, and we have the kickoff bonus call for the next cohort. Amazing. So yeah, so it was the journey of really coming back to myself and my authenticity and having that be the fuel for my business. Like, is this what I really want? Is this what makes me happy? And let me honor that, but also back that up with the work ethic and the skill mastery that are going to allow me to be successful. So, yeah.
So good. I was actually getting a little bit emotional when you were talking about how so much of that transition like kicked off by immersing yourself in, what James was teaching us in that community. And, I talk about James and BBD all the time, and like people listening, whatever that community is for you, for us, it's Business by Design and James, but everyone has that out there waiting for them to be discovered. But every single time, and I've been in and out of his world since 2019, but it's like every time I immerse myself in that world, really great things happen for me. And I just had a download this morning with it, this is kind of all bringing me back to of like, I don't want content anymore. Like, I'm not seeking to learn the things. I'm seeking the space, activating that part of me that's had my best ideas yet. And like you said, that comes from silence, that comes from turning off the noise and turning inward. And that's what I want to do more of, is how can I continue to put myself in spaces that ignite the best ideas yet, So that was so beautiful. I do have a hard stop, so I want to wrap it up, but will you let the coaches that are listening know how they can find out about Coaching Craft Academy and how they can connect with you?
Yeah, so I'm primarily on Instagram. You can find me at _Alissa Stevens _ and Alissa's ALISSA. And Coaching Craft Academy is my signature program where I teach you powerful coaching tools and techniques so that you can create massive client transformations that grow your business, from clients loving the work that you're doing together and loving who they become. So we're enrolling right now on pre-sale for the second cohort, which starts in July. And if you are interested in exploring that, especially at the pre-sale rate, come to me. slide into my DMs and we'll have a
That's
chat.
right. And we'll put everything in the show notes. We'll make sure that you guys have Alyssa's Instagram handle and all that good stuff in the show notes. And we will definitely get this out before July. So make sure that you go connect with her and learn all of the things, because I'm just telling you, she is just yet another ripple effect of this incredible community and things that we have done and learned. So thank you, Alissa, so much for being here.
Thank you. I love you so much.
I love you
Can't wait
too.
to continue nerding out with you
I
offline.
know, on Voxer. This was like a little snippet of like when we Vox each other about like, look at this language pattern I had today, or look what I learned today.
Super nerds unite.
I know. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. All right.
Okay.
If you're still here and you were able to hang in there with me and Alissa, thank you so much for listening to this episode and tuning in. As always, feel free to share it with a friend, leave us a review, reach out to Alissa and tell her how much you enjoyed the episode. Remember, we are kind of on a modified summer schedule. So my kids are all home for the summer. So I am podcasting in the cracks and not really putting pressure on myself to put episodes out every week. But as I mentioned in my last episode, we are also not committing to taking a break. We're somewhere in between. And I'm loving it. We're having so much fun. And you guys know that I am super pumped for the fall. But for now, I'm going to enjoy the summer. I hope that you guys will too. And I cannot wait to see you soon. We have a summer workshop coming up soon. If you are local, you can go to elizabethhenson.co/summer workshop. It is a 1-day workshop, July 15th, perfect for startups and new business owners. And you can still join the waitlist for Elevate next year. And I hope that you guys will schedule a marketing power call with me if you're interested in hearing more about Elevate or other ways that we can work together. Thank you for being here, and I will see you guys very soon.